I knew if I was defensive about this situation, I would carry that pain with me for the rest of my life. I didn't carry the pain with me, and maybe I did. I did carry the pain with me because I was angry that I forgave them. That was the thing. I was angry that I forgave them. But I ultimately knew that it was better to forgive them right there and nip it in the bud. What up, everyone? My name is Akinola, and I'd like to welcome you back to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time here, I'm dedicating this channel to book reviews. So I read a book, and then I'll record myself doing a book review on the book. If you're interested, just hit the subscribe button and look out for more videos in the future. But for today's book review, we have Don Miguel Ruiz, The Mastery of Love. I had to read this book 2 times. The introduction kind of shares similarities with the 4 Agreements in that it talks about this dream that we live in at this current moment was created by all those people who came before us. That includes their belief systems, their fear systems, their judgment systems, societal structures that people still follow today, these different qualities of living, and just these perspectives that we still hold valid today. But just all the ideas that were conceived back in the day might not necessarily be valid or rooted in the truth of who we are as a person. So they might not necessarily apply to us, even though they affect us every day. Let's just get into The Wounded Mind. The Wounded Mind is about establishing these ideas that we believe are helpful, but are actually harmful in the long run. And they are ideas that lead us further and further away from who we actually are. Like, you know, people say, oh, that's just the way I am, or that's just the way it is. And that's not necessarily true. It's just we use these concepts and these ideas as defense mechanisms to avoid facing the truth of the matter and to prevent ourselves from feeling that pain that we initially felt. So these images, it's these images of perfection that are really doing us the most harm, because now we're walking on a tightrope trying to portray an image or trying to sustain this idea, this false concept of who we really are. The reality is we're not perfect. To try to live up to this perfect image is actually doing us more harm than good. And that's really what the wounded mind is it's taking on all these different ideas and these different belief systems about ourselves that cause us to live a false reality and reject ourselves if we don't live up to these images that we create. That's what the wounded mind does to itself. It continues to inject itself with negativity, with poison, with these bad thoughts about the self. It's a self-defeating, self-limiting idea of ourselves when we don't live up to these overinflated images that we create for ourselves, or that other people create for us to live in this world. But the truth of the matter is that's not who we are. We're not these perfect people. It's better to just be yourself. Now keep that whole idea of mastery of love in your mind, because we're going to get there. So the second chapter is called The Loss of Innocence. As kids, we lose that whole idea of who we are. In the book, there's an example of a child who's in the playground and he's running around or she's running around, and then they run in an area where the parent has to get up and go give them attention. And so they see the parents chasing after them, and in the kid's mind, the kid thinks that, oh, the parents, they're playing with me. Oh, this is a fun game. So they're running faster, and there's cars all around, and the parent becomes more nervous and afraid for the child's safety. So finally they catch up to the child, and then they spank the child. Now the kid is thinking, oh, why did I get hit? I thought we was playing a game. But the parent sees it from a different perspective. And at that point is when the child begins to change their perspective about the people around them. And basically it just creates this whole idea of being abused emotionally. You can imagine the damage that does to a child's mind. It's gonna, first of all, it's gonna confuse them. Then they're gonna associate pain with their parents. And then they're gonna form some sort of image of their parents where they really can't trust their parent. This is like the beginning of domesticating the child or the human. It's a reward system, okay? You do something positive, you get a positive reward. You do something negative, there's a negative consequence to it. And that's kind of like sets the basis and the tone for how the kid is going to grow up, in a sense. So the child begins to realize, after having these encounters so many times, if I don't upset my parents, then I'm gonna please them, versus if I do upset my parents, I can expect some sort of consequence, some sort of punishment, some sort of repercussion for the things that I've engaged in. And these concepts are what affects the child's mind, and it also molds the child's mind to be a people pleaser in a sense. Oh, look, mommy, look what I did. I drew, a flower. And then the parent would, give the child a verbal praise. Like, let's hang it on the refrigerator, versus, look, mom, I colored on your walls. You know what I'm saying? I use a permanent Sharpie marker to color on your walls, and they get a spanking for that. These are the things that children, they experience, and then they grow up realizing that there's a consequence for the things that they do, whether it's a positive or negative. So then they develop these images in their mind that they want to please people. They want to please the pastor. They want to please their teachers. They want to please their partners. They want to please their parents, their sisters, their brothers, their family. I want to go to school. I want to get my education. I want to get my bachelor's. I want to get my master's. I want to graduate. I want to get this multifamily house, and I want to get good credit. I want to do the best that I could be so I can prove to my parents that I am who they expect me to be. I'm this person. The whole time we're trying to live up to this image that is unfulfilling. We acquire these different accomplishments, yet we're still unfulfilled on the inside. And it's because we grew up believing that if I just do good, or if I'm just that good enough, that I could just get the attention of my parents, or get the attention of this person, or get my partner to love me a little bit more. If I just do this for my partner and be this type of person for my partner that they want me to be, then I will have a successful relationship. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. We're going to get deeper and deeper into the power of love, but that's basically the loss of innocence. So chapter 3 is the man who didn't believe in love. And basically it's a story about a man who attributed love to being sort of like a drug, and the person who is in love is the addict, and the person who they love is the supplier. And that's basically all love is. It's a feeling that one person gets when they lack love and they looking for love outside themselves. That love doesn't exist. So he met somebody who shared the same idea as him about love. That love doesn't exist. It's sort of just like a drug, and people are deprived of love, so they go out searching for it. And anybody who's willing to give this person the love that they seek is worth suffering for. You know what I'm saying? And that's not true love. That's not really what love is. So as the story goes, him and this lady, they share the idea and they get along great. They start doing all these different things together, going out to eat, going on trips, vacations, just laughing and just living and moving in with each other, basically. They end up shacking up. He had a dream that night. He was dreaming of the stars, and, the stars was his love. That was his symbol of his love. So he took the stars from the sky and he gave the star to the woman that he had met in the park. Being with her over time, it made him realize that, wait, maybe love does exist. So when he had this dream of him giving his love, the stars, to this woman, the stars that he gave to her, he put it in her hands, and then they crashed and hit the floor and shattered into a million pieces. And basically the moral of that story was, don't put your happiness in other people's hands. The biggest takeaway from that chapter for me was the whole idea of love being like a drug. And when one person lacks love or self-love, they go outward and seek love from other people. And regardless of how those people treat them, as long as they're showing them love, then it's okay. As long as they show you that little dose of love that they have you in the palm of their hand. And that is very detrimental to one's health, very detrimental to one's well-being. The track of love and the track of fear, chapter 4. This chapter is about the track of love and the track of fear. Now, the track of fear is the track that is filled with obligation, feeling sorry for someone, control, possession. For example, like the track of fear is when you operate out of obligation, doing something, expecting someone else to do the same thing for you. Or I was nice to you, so I expect you to be nice to me, or loving to me in this type of way. And it also goes deeper in saying that if you tell somebody you love them, that is out of the track of love. However, if that person doesn't say that they love you, that is not a reason for you to feel unloved. If you do feel like you are unloved when someone doesn't say they love you back, it's because you're not operating out of the track of love. You're not just telling them that you love them just because you do. You're telling them you love them so that you can hear them tell you that they love you. When you do things expecting other people to do the same for you, that's when you're operating out of the track of fear. The fear of losing, the fear of not being able to maintain that relationship, when it's not really about maintaining the relationship, but it's really about maintaining your self-worth and your self-love. I'm doing this because it makes me happy. I'm doing this because it makes me feel joyful. I'm doing this because it brings me peace of mind. I'm doing this because I love you. I'm not doing this so you can love me more. I love me just enough. I'm doing this because I have enough love for me and for you. So that's what the track of love and the track of fear chapter 4 is about. Chapter 5 is the perfect relationship, finding the right person for you. Now imagine you just like, I want to be in a relationship with somebody. You see a man and he has all the physical qualities that you want in a man. He's over 6 feet tall, he has nice eyes, nice beautiful skin, all the physical aspects that you can possibly imagine that you want in a man, he has it. He's an asshole, he does drugs. Now your friends notice that, your parents notice that, but you don't care. You're still going to be with this man because you're not going to let them tell you who you're going to be with. And it's been a long time and you finally found somebody physically attracting that you could actually give your time and attention to. And if this person, you start to tell yourself lies. You start to tell yourself that this is the man for me. This is the one that I want. He has everything that I want. And my love will change him into being the man that I know that he could be. So you're with this man and you start to realize all the truth is really coming out. He is an asshole. He's not living a healthy lifestyle. It's affecting you emotionally. It's affecting you mentally. And it's just affecting you all around. And now you can't go back because it's going to give your parents satisfaction. And they're going to tell you, oh, we told you so. You continue to be prideful and avoid any accountability for the decisions that you made. And so this is how that development goes, where you continue to lie to yourself and you continue to develop these different false images that you're right or that everybody else is wrong and that there's no way you could have made a mistake in this sense. But the truth of the matter is he was never good for you in the first place. So the perfect relationship is about finding that person that is for you. And if they're not for you, then just call it off. If you go to like the Petco and you want to go get a dog, why would you pick up a cat? You know what I'm saying? Why would you go pick up a cat if you want a dog? You get what you get. And that's basically what the chapter is about. It also talks about not expecting so much from your partner that's outside of their realm of functionality. You know what I'm saying? Like, find the one who's for you, first of all, and don't expect them to function out of their capacity. Perfect relationship is also about doing your part in a relationship. If you take care of your portion of the relationship, and that includes your emotional traumas, your mental issues, and all your garbage that pertains to you, if you take care of that and your partner has the awareness and knows that it's a 50-50 relationship, my partner is currently going through something emotional, something mentally, and I'm going to allow them that time to deal with that. Whatever they're going through has absolutely nothing to do with us, nothing to do with me, and therefore I will not allow my partner's issues to affect me mentally, which is ultimately going to compromise our relationship. In the perfect relationship, having that awareness of my partner is coming with their 50%, I'm coming with my 50%. What my partner is going through in their life, whatever it may be, I'm not responsible for. I'm only responsible for my portion of the relationship. And it's my responsibility to ensure that I give my partner enough space to deal with whatever they're going through. Just because they're angry and they're sad and they're upset doesn't mean I have to be angry, sad, and upset. As a matter of fact, I'm going to continue to remain happy. And when you're finished dealing with whatever it is that you're dealing with, we can be happy together. As a matter of fact, if I could make you happy, I'm going to make you happy because it's important for us to maintain our happiness in relationship. Again, the perfect relationship. Establish boundaries, very important. The Magical Kitchen, chapter 6. Just imagine you're in the kitchen and anything that you could possibly think of, any type of food that you could possibly think of or imagine, you can manifest, you can have. Anything, any type of food from any part of the world, any type of culture, any background, all of that seasoned to perfection. This is your magical kitchen. You can have that. And then imagine somebody knocks on your door and says, hey, do you want pizza? You can have this pizza as long as you let me control you. Your response is going to be with laughter like, hey, I don't need your pizza. As a matter of fact, I can make my own pizza and I can make it better. Now imagine you don't have this magical kitchen and you're looking for food to eat. You're hungry, right? And then someone comes in and they're like, hey, you can eat as much pizza as you want or as much food as you want if you allow me to control you. Now you're going to think about it for a second because you don't have this magical kitchen. You're hungry and you have an opportunity to eat. So what you're going to do is you're going to submit to this person in one way or another. Now that might not necessarily be the case for everybody, but the point is, when you lack is when you're most vulnerable to being controlled, to being taken advantage of by people who see that and know that. You put yourself in this compromising position where now you're a victim to your circumstances. That's the same exact thing with love. Like when you don't have self-love, when you don't have this overabundant, joyful mindset, and you don't see yourself as something worthy or worth anything, it's like you lack, and you're subject to all different types of abuse and all different types of experiences that are going to cause you a bunch of trauma, mental pain, emotional pain, and just, ultimately suffer. The Magic Kitchen. Be aware of your own ability to produce love. Be aware of your own ability to manifest your own food. And if you feel like you lack, that just means you got to look deeper within yourself and find that self-worth. Don't ever let somebody manipulate you or control you because of something that they have or the circumstances that you're currently in. Your circumstances don't necessarily define who you are. It's who you become when you're in those circumstances that define who you are. So always remember that. So the Dream Master is basically you being aware of this ultimate dream. It's about waking up from the dream that, people gave you when you were younger that made you believe in these ideas, these concepts, and realizing your own dream and your own potential and realizing you just don't belong in everybody else's dream. You need to be doing what is good for self, what is aligned with you and what you got going on in life. And that's following your purpose. That's the beginning of mastering the love within yourself. Chapter 8, sex, the biggest demon in hell. And basically, a lot of people will agree that sex is a natural part of human existence, the human experience. But there are some people that believe that sex is what's ruining how men and women go about living their life. For example, women who are promiscuous, that is a negative thing for women to be considered. A promiscuous woman, she might consider herself as a sexually liberated woman, which gives her more power and more control of that whole idea of sex and her natural inclination to be sexual, versus like a church that says, oh, you shouldn't have sex until you're married. Oh, look at her, she should feel guilty. Some people live like that, where they believe that I can't be sexy or I can't be feminine or I can't be macho masculine because it's gonna turn people off and piss people off, and they're gonna look at me in a certain way that is gonna make me feel guilty, and then I'm just gonna reject myself again, reject my sexuality, reject my beauty, your natural beauty, to be sexy, to feel sexy. It always comes down to who's controlling what narrative. When you're ultimately pursuing your purpose and you're awake and you're on the path of being a dream master, you can see these things coming a mile away. Oh, this person is expect me to feel bad about myself because of my sexuality. It's their programming. They're in the dream sleep. They don't understand that you are who you are and you're going to be happy regardless. The chapter basically looks at sex, and it says sex is another aspect that makes people reject themselves and feel guilty. But it also tells us if we love ourselves enough, we won't allow those type of ideas and concepts that people created and society created for us to affect us. And we can continue to move on and enjoy our life, our sexual life, and all these experiences with ourselves if we just accept ourselves for who we are. It's really about acceptance and recognizing the truth of the matter. Chapter 10 is seeing with eyes of love. Seeing with the eyes of love is accepting yourself completely, wholeheartedly. Accepting yourself physically, accepting yourself mentally, accepting yourself spiritually, accepting who you are at your core. There might be things that you don't like about yourself physically. Maybe it's your weight or your height, your skin tone, your hair, the way you dress, the way you look, your skin routine. Basically, there might be ways that you don't love yourself. You might find yourself insulting yourself in these specific areas. What that's doing is like negative self self-talk and you're feeding this whole idea that you're not perfect and you're never going to be perfect and you're not worth it, and you're continuing to feed into these negative ideas about yourself, first of all, you have to quit believing the things that you say, quit believing the things that you hear other people say about you, and quit believing old ideas of perfection that don't suit you. When you start to see things with the eyes of love, you start to take the proper care and appreciate yourself, every detail, from the way you eat, even just chewing your food and enjoying it, to breathing in that good old prana, to the way you look physically. You just start to love yourself more, because now you're seeing your life with the eyes of love instead of with the eyes of suffering or misery or jealousy or anger. If you look at things from the point of view of love, that's when you're going to begin to start to see the value in yourself. And you're going to start to see, okay, I used to see that with eyes of anger, but now I'm looking at it with eyes of love. I can make different decisions that's going to give me better results, that's going to help me, that's going to continue to develop a positive experience for me and create the person that I want to become. I no longer want to be a victim to my reactions to whatever is going on outside of me. I want to become a positive person. And so basically that is seeing with the eyes of love, seeing those minute details about yourself that you judge, that you reject, and flipping it and seeing it with the eyes of love and appreciating it. Yeah, I love myself. I like the way I think, like the way I dress. My hair is beautiful. Just really appreciating it. And once you can establish that in your mind, you begin to grow in a positive way. You begin to love yourself more. You become to master yourself. You're now a dream master who appreciates their perspective of themselves. Chapter 11 is Healing the Emotional Body. It's a good chapter because it gives you a step-by-step process and how you can go about healing your body of those old emotional frustrations, those traumas that you have, all those angry moments that are pent up and stored up inside your body, and allow you to walk lighter and travel with more resolve and more responsibility of yourself. So the first step in healing the emotional body is the truth. So what you're going to do is you're going to use the truth to confront all those thoughts, those ideas, those concepts that you have of yourself. And you're going to dead them. You're just going to dead them. So you're just going to use the truth. Like, if you don't like yourself, there's no way you can escape from yourself. You're always going to be there. So you got to confront yourself with the truth. There's certain things that I don't like about myself that I know I got to change. And so that's what you begin to do. The first step is acknowledging the truth and using the truth as a scalpel to open those old wounds that cause us anger and frustration. Use the truth to get to the root of the matter. And then in order to clean out the wound, this is the second step. To clean the wound out, you're going to use forgiveness. So you're going to use the truth and you're going to use forgiveness. There's no better person to forgive than yourself. You know, you can tell this person, I forgive you for, touching me as a child. I forgive you for mistreating me on my upbringing, for raising me in a dysfunctional family. I forgive you for all the trauma that I've experienced when I was with you. I forgive you for saying mean things to me when I was at my lowest point. You can make that choice to forgive someone in order for you to escape this emotional pain that you have stored up over all these periods of times. To forgive. So you use the truth to open the wound. Then you use forgiveness to clean out the wound. However that looks to you, you use forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the most, if not the most liberating approaches to life. Forgiveness is like the ultimate liberator of all suffering, all pain, all emotional discomfort. Forgiveness. I know I once was in a situation where I felt taken advantage of and I suffered. And for a long time, I was blaming myself. I was blaming other people for just being the type of people they were. But I could never shake that experience, that moment. And I got tired of thinking of those experiences so much to where I had to forgive myself and I had to forgive them. I just you know what? I gotta forgive these people, man. I have to. Even when it occurred, I knew when I confronted them, I expressed forgiveness because I knew if I was defensive about this situation, I would carry that pain with me for the rest of my life. I didn't carry the pain with me, and maybe I did. I did carry the pain with me because I was angry that I forgave them. That was the thing. I was angry that I forgave them. But I ultimately knew that it was better to forgive them right there and nip it in the bud. But as years went by, I would always think about it like, man, I can't believe I allowed these people to take advantage of me. And here we go. I never fully forgave them because I'm still thinking about it. But one day I woke up and was like, you know what? I'm on a journey to my higher path. The only way that I can transcend and ascend to a higher level is if I forgive my past, if I forgive myself for making decisions that put me in compromising situations. I have no choice but to forgive myself if I want to move on, if I want to elevate. So I forgave, and it made me feel so much more liberated. Like my heart felt lighter. Like I said, I was doing some writing, and I wrote, to forget, I forgave. Self-respect comes with age. Now, some can argue that self-respect and age have nothing to do with each other, but at that particular point in my life, I wasn't wise enough, or you could say I was too naive to really grasp this whole concept of self-respect. Although I had respect for myself, self-respect is ultimately saying no to things that don't align with who you are, saying no to people that don't align with your purpose. They could be family, they could be close friends, loved ones, relatives, whoever. It's setting up boundaries. That's self-respect. You got to set up boundaries in your life. And regardless of what happens, as long as you know you're on your purpose and you're aligned with things that continue to pour into you and continue to fulfill you somehow, you don't have to worry about how people feel if you don't agree with them. Just forgive them, and don't be angry that you forgave them. Wholeheartedly forgive them, like, I forgive you for all the pain, and then move on. So we open the wound with the truth, we clean the wound with forgiveness, and then we treat the wound with love, unconditional love for yourself, knowing that you love yourself enough to let all those past transgressions just fall by the wayside, never to stop you from fulfilling whatever it is that you want to fulfill in your life. Just continue to march forward with self-love, seeing with the eyes of love, responding to things in a different way. I no longer live that type of lifestyle. I'm no longer drinking and drugging. Nah, I'm not going out tonight. No, thank you. Oh, come on, man. Hey, I'm sorry, man. That's just the way it is now. I live a different type of lifestyle. And accepting yourself and accepting this part of yourself that is who you are, not this reality that's not real, this illusion where you have to please everybody else and be this sort of image that people want you to be cool. Now, you don't have to live by society's standards. Live by your own standards. So that's basically the mastery of love. It's being aware that we've developed ideas about ourselves that are not necessarily true. Being aware that these ideas have limited our ability to grow in certain areas, confronting these ideas with the truth, using forgiveness to create space in our life to transcend higher, and ultimately using love to pave our way into the future, into the life that we want to see for ourselves. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the mastery of love. I'd like to thank you all for tuning in. Here's another book in the books. If you guys have any recommendations, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. It's Black History Month, although I believe Black History is every day, but that's a whole nother video. I might look into some Black History books or a Black History book and do a book review on that. But until then, you guys got The Mastery of Love by Don Miguel Ruiz. Once again, thank y'all for tuning in. Until the next time, peace.